Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Bad Thoughts Studios. Today, I got OG and George joining me. We are doing a trailer reaction to Lilo and Stitch live action. Boys, this is going to be something that I love talking to you guys about. Not only because it's a Disney, animated movie original, but it is one of those things where we have in our head, oh great, they're making a new live action movie. And from what we've seen so far, at least I'll speak for myself, I'm liking it. I haven't seen the full trailer yet, only a couple things, so I do want to dive into that for sure and get your guys' opinions. But yeah, we're going to react to the trailer and all that stuff. But first, let me introduce you guys. George, thank you for one, reminding me to do this video, and for two, joining me, bro. I appreciate you. How's everything?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because when the trailer dropped, I thought, oh, I know Tones is going to do a trailer reaction to this, and I definitely want to be a part of it because I have my thoughts on it for sure. And yeah, I just glad I was able to make it and be a part of it.
Of course, man. And if you could tell the people where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There it is.
I will have all his stuff in the description below. Make sure you guys go give him a follow. Appreciate you, George. OG, thank you again for joining me, brother. If you could tell the people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Tones, always a good time. Appreciate you. I always look forward to podcasting with you. It's always a good time, brother. Appreciate you asking us to come on today. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Orange Grove 55. We talk all about theme parks, but we also dip into the studio stuff quite a bit and even the corporate side. So check that out. You can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and on X, Orange Grove 55. I also do have a Blue Sky, Orange Grove 55 on there, but I'm not super active over there. I'm working on that though. Eventually I'll kind of get more active, but yeah, that's where you can find me. And again, Tones Poppy, thank you for having us on. Appreciate you.
Of course. Before we get started, guys, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you guys are notified once a video is uploaded. All right, guys, let's get into this. Lilo and Stitch. All right, so one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. It's such a great movie. It was cool to see, the island part of it, kind of like Moana, and you get those island parts of it, and it's just a beautiful story, between Lilo and Stitch. And when you guys heard at D23 that there was going to be a Lilo and Stitch live action, what were your guys' initial thoughts? And you guys did get like a little. George was kind of telling us before that he saw a little still of something before D23. But what were your guys' initial thoughts when you guys heard about the live action?
It's funny, Tones, because like I'm kind of live actioned out a little bit with these, and I kind of feel like, I don't know, like Disney should get back to kind of like creating original content again, right? Like in the 90s, we got original Disney live action films out there. They were great, even the smaller stuff like the Mighty Ducks. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it on your channel before, right, Tones? Like things like that. It would be refreshing to kind of dip back into some more original stuff. So it was another live action remake. I was kind of like, okay, here we go again, And then they showed us some footage, not a whole lot at D23 of like Stitch and what he would look like and what have you. And I was impressed. They didn't change him where it wasn't like a Sonic the Hedgehog kind of situation or anything. I mean, it looked like Stitch, and he was like just in CGI form, really adorable character. And well, okay, this has potential. This has potential. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reacting to this. But overall, I was apprehensive of it because it's another live action remake. But like as things were kind of leaking out little by little, like D23 and what have you, I was getting more and more optimistic as we went on. So we'll see how the trailer is.
Yeah, I was kind of in that same mindset as well. Lilo and Stitch is so iconic. My thoughts were like, great, another live action. Let's see how this works out. Right. But recently I've been just seeing a lot of good live action just trailers and just movie part of the movie that like House of the Dragon, Jesus, How to Train Your Dragon,
yes,
like that kind of stuff. Like it looks like they're turning a page of like they could possibly pull some of these off and some of these remakes and live actions off, and I'm liking that. I like that idea for sure.
Yeah, and maybe the thing is like maybe like we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater with these live action remakes. Maybe like the live action remake isn't necessarily a bad idea, but maybe the studios should be more particular and pickier with the franchises they do them with. Like I think the How to Train Your Dragon stuff looks amazing. That franchise in live action has enormous potential. You can have basically like a Game of Thrones kind of, obviously without like, you know, the craziness right, like that, but you can have a Game of Thrones-ish kind of franchise there. It would be pretty cool. Lilo and Stitch, you know, from what we've seen, the little bit that we've seen seems to be working. So maybe, you know, the live action stuff is a cool thing to have, but just being maybe pickier with it. Maybe not every animated movie that was ever a hit in the past. Maybe just kind of be a little choosier, because there are some franchises that actually do work in this new format, you know.
That is a great point. That's a great point. What was your thoughts, George? Like I said, we were talking about it before, and you kind of see something before D23 and then the stuff that dropped at D23. So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little bit, further back before D23. When I first heard Disney initially greenlight the project for a live action Lilo and Stitch, I thought, how in the world are they doing this? You know, because it's not even just with Stitch. You have to deal with the other aliens. You have to deal with Cantu. You have to deal with Pleaky. You have to deal with Jumba. I believe that was his name. So yeah, like how are they going to make this into a live action?
And George would know all the names, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I forgot all their names, dude. I'm looking up on Google right now.
I had no idea. Go ahead, George.
So I thought, like, how are they doing this live action? Is it going to be like a hybrid of like live action and animation between the characters, you know? And I thought, okay, it is what it is. Then they made the announcement that it was going to be direct to Disney Plus. And I thought, okay, this movie is really going to tank because Disney doesn't have no faith in it, that they're just throwing it on Disney Plus. It's going to be just like a seamless shadow in the mix of everything else. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. Then I saw the leaked still photos of the young actress who plays Lilo, which, by the way, is freaking adorable. I've watched her do an interview. I think it was either with E! Entertainment or Variety or something. This movie's going to make this young girl a star. Honestly, like this is going to be, like she's already saying that she wants to do projects with Zach Galifianakis and everything. And the interviewer was like surprising. She was like, "Wow, I didn't think a young girl like you would even know who Zach Galifianakis is."
Hey, she's got ambition. She's got ambition. She got dreams. That's cool, you know.
I do want to say her name, and forgive me, please, because I'm going to say this very wrong. But Maia Kaloa. I totally butchered that name, but that's her name and the actress's name.
So when I saw the leaked photos, like of her, like talking with the director, you see like all the set pieces and everything, and she's sitting in this little pink like motorized Jeep, you know, that they used to have in the 90s and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, maybe this is a good thing that they're putting it on Disney Plus, because this doesn't look very promising. We still didn't even get to see what Stitch looked like, mind you. It only showed the young actress who plays Lilo briefly, and that was it. Then D23 came around, and we were anticipating to the fact of, you know, we were going to see you know, possibly what Stitch was going to look like. We didn't know when we were at the movie panel, but they did surprise us. It was like Stitch hacked the system. He took over the segment. You saw the lights flicker. You heard his laugh echoing through the arena, and we all knew what it was coming. And then boom, Stitch ends up on the screen. But prior to that, Disney made the decision that they were going to release it theatrically. And I feel like now that was a smart move, because when Stitch came up onto the screen, the arena erupted, they applauded, and honestly, they were spot on with how they did Stitch. I agree with OG. Like they didn't Sonic the Hedgehog him or anything. Yeah. So, and even kind of look what you guys were saying with How to Train Your Dragon, Toothless looks like Toothless. You know, they didn't make it to be where, okay, it's a knockoff brand of Toothless. And I feel like maybe that's the route that these studios should go, is keep the integrity of the animation of the animated film, but then intermix it with a live action that I feel like that these studios are starting to get the right ingredients for these live action. And if this is the route that they go moving forward, I'd be okay with the live actions. But yeah, I wouldn't beat it to death with a stick to do every single movie. And I feel like how these movies work when you do have a blend of actually live action with CGI computer animation, because there's real life actors in How to Train Your Dragon. There's now real life actors in Lilo and Stitch. When you take a movie like The Lion King and it's completely all just CGI, it throws off the realism because there's nothing for them to interact with but each other, and it's all CGI. At least even with the Jungle Book, even with the Jungle Book, they still had the young actor to play Mowgli that offset some of that, you know, between the CGI. But overall, I'm excited, and especially after seeing the trailer, I'm completely hyped, because at the time when this movie is released, Abby and I will actually be in Florida. The day it released, we'll actually be in Universal. But I told her we could actually go see this movie on the Disney cruise ship, because they do on Disney movies. And I thought, what a great way to go see the live action Lilo and Stitch, but on the Disney Cruise Line. Like that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about the cruise line tones. Like, I've only done it twice, but the first time I think it was Wakanda Forever was the movie that they were playing on the cruise, and it's free. There's no ticket. It's like you go in and you just watch it. You know, even if it's currently in theaters, it's crazy.
Can you imagine if they charged you for that on the fucking boat?
Oh man, I could. It wouldn't shock me if they ended up doing that eventually. You know,
you do have to pay extra for popcorn though.
Yeah,
popcorn is not included.
Yeah, and then the second time when we were on the Wish, I was with George. That time it was the Pinocchio live action that went to D+, and yeah. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, for some reason, it feels like we've turned a corner when it comes to these live actions and them looking great instead of looking terrible. And I like it. I'm okay with that. But without further ado, boys, let's get into this this trailer. It's going to be our live reaction to the new Lilo and Stitch live action trailer. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Do it.
We have apprehended a dangerous experiment. Where is he?
He escaped.
He's trying to find the police cruisers.
Wow, dude.
He took
Dude.
What hideous planet is caught in your
It's been amazing
crosshairs?
so far.
Yeah, bro.
Shooting star! I wish for a friend. Like a best friend.
What the hell?
He's so cute and fluffy.
He is your responsibility. Got it.
We promise.
Yeah.
Get down from there!
Look like an angel.
No. Control him. Hey, what are you doing? No. Dogs on the table.
You sure that's a dog?
Yeah.
Rough.
Ew. We are not keeping this thing.
Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind.
Or forgotten.
Stitch that.
Sometimes family isn't perfect. That doesn't mean they aren't good. That was close. I don't think you're supposed to drink that.
Agent Cobra Bubbles. We have a blue dog to catch.
No, where?
Move. I'm gonna give you to the count of 3, Stitch. 1.
You know,
I fucking love it, dude. Holy shit.
Billion-dollar summer movie for sure.
Oh, 100%. By far.
It has just the right amount of comedy. It has the right amount of heart. You know, that the willingness of, you know, accepting one when, you know, when you're different, you know, the notion of family and wanting to be accepted and everything. And you get all that just with one trailer. You know, they didn't even release any other trailers yet, or the movie's not even out yet. And I can already tell that this is definitely going to pull on a lot of people's heartstrings, you know, for the comedy, for the sentimental reasons. So I feel like this got the whole package.
Yeah, and it looks like he looks like my dog, 100%. So I love it.
And you took the words right from me, George. The amount of seriousness it has, the amount of heartfelt thing it has, just in the trailer alone. I mean, obviously we know this is a remake of the animated one,
right?
But to be able to portray that on screen, live action, it's very different. It is very different. So just seeing that in the trailer alone, you already know it's definitely going to be $1 billion movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just, and I love it, and it's one of those movies, like we were kind of talking about before, that if you don't nail what these characters look like in the animated movies, in the live action, people aren't going to like it. People aren't going to enjoy it, and it looks like they've done just that.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking a little bit about earlier on in the show tones, where like there are certain franchises that work in remake in this remake format. I think Lilo and Stitch works because it basically takes place in our world in Hawaii, right? So to have this, you know, you can insert these characters into that real world experience and it makes sense, you know? And so for this franchise, and Lilo and Stitch has always kind of had like a little bit of a meta sort of thing with the marketing and what have you. So like, I remember back in the day, like when they were promoting Lilo and Stitch would like kind of like invade some of like the old school classic Disney movies, like Beauty and the Beast and what have you.
Yeah.
That meta like thing that they were doing with the marketing, I think fits really well too, with the remake thing. And you can have fun with that again with more modern stuff. So I think overall, this was the franchise that really made a whole lot of sense to remake. I think it was awesome. They got Chris Sanders back on board. He worked on the original film. That was very, very smart. So yeah, man, this is going to be a massive movie for the summer. Maybe one of the biggest. I mean, honestly, maybe one of the biggest. So,
and Stitch is a cash cow for Disney, not even just for the films, but just him as a character. You know, in the theme parks, you know, on, you know, the Shop Disney and everything, everybody loves Stitch. You know, they go wild for him, you know, whether it's like the shirts or the jerseys or like the stuffed animals, you know, it's like, you can't get enough of Stitch. So the fact that he's being revitalized in a new way, that it's just going to make, you know, that trend grow even bigger. And to the fact of it may even potentially be where he gets a much bigger presence into the theme parks, because he used to be part of, you know, having an attraction at Magic Kingdom. It was Stitch's Great Escape that took over Alien Encounter. Wasn't that great of an attraction? I feel like they could have done something much greater for Stitch. But who knows? Maybe like now maybe he'll get, you know, what he deserves to get into a theme park attraction.
Yeah, now Tones, I know you're not like super versed in the theme park stuff. To give you a little backstory, so Disney in the 90s, Michael Eisner didn't give like a single bleep about any, like he made adult stuff all the time, right? So there was an attraction at Walt Disney World called Alien Encounter. So you would sit, it was like there was a cylindrical tube in the middle with the alien. I think it was from the movie Alien, actually. Or was it from that movie Alien? Or very similar.
Something like it, yeah.
Yeah, it was in this like for Star Wars nerds, like a BAFTA tank, basically, or something like that, right? And there was like seats all around this tank, right? And it was in that tank. And what happens is you're in these seats and there's over the shoulder restraints and everything. So you're sitting in that chair where you're locked in, bro. And the lights go out and the freaking thing breaks out. And you would feel like the freaking like tongue on your neck and it breathing in your ear.
Yeah, it's like it's a sensory like overload. It locks you in so you can't move. So that ended up like revamping into Stitch's Great Escape, which is the same storyline, but they made it a little more comical than more like thrilling. But it still gives you the sense that Stitch is crawling on you, messing with your hair. He slobbers on you. He throws snot on you.
Parents were complaining that the original was too scary. It was too much, so they made it a Stitch thing.
Was it at least equivalent to like that? Like, was it a good ride? Like was it a good attraction, or was it just like
it was cool okay? I actually preferred it as Alien Encounter.
Yeah,
like just because that type of environment, it puts you in a vulnerability that you can't move, and it's like it's the thrill. Like, oh my gosh, this giant alien creature is like escaped. But when you think of Stitch, it's like, turn the lights on. I want to see Stitch. You know, I want to hug him. I want to hold him. I want to squeeze him. I want to play with him. You know, it's like, but when you have like a giant mutant alien, it's like, no, get him off of me. You know.
Good.
No, I was just saying, Michael Eisner pushed the envelope with stuff like that. Like he was not shy about really taking Disney as a company to the next level. Because before Michael Eisner, like, you know, Disney was much more like they didn't get into really adult stuff, you know, and all that. And then once Eisner came in, we got things like Pleasure Island, which is basically like a giant nightclub bar thing at Walt Disney World. And you got attractions like Alien Encounter and things like that. So he was really changing the game for Disney. And that was one of the big things, man. Like Alien Encounter was crazy intense. And they got a lot of complaints about it. Like families were really like upset.
They're always upset about something, bro, every time. But that brings up my question to you real quick, George. That brings up my question to you guys real quick is because we all know Stitch is a profitable character. We've seen, you know, plushies of him. We've seen characters, you know, why don't they implement that in the park more and even they didn't make a sequel to Stitch. They made this series of Stitch, but they didn't make an actual sequel to the movie, a movie that was very popular to the Disney fans and probably would have made just as much money as they did in the first one. You know what I'm saying? But why isn't it? Why isn't that the case?
They should. I don't understand the rhyme or reason behind it either, Tones, to be honest with you, because like even big movies like these, I mean, Stitch was a big movie, but I mean, even other
Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. They never did the same thing too.
No, we're finally getting a big Monsters Inc. ride in Florida, but that they're barely just starting that. Yeah. But here's the thing with Stitch is that it's a great franchise where you can really play with that. Like you can go the Polynesian, Hawaiian, Islander route with an attraction. Absolutely. But you can also go the alien kind of Tomorrowland route too with Stitch. So there's a lot of potential there where you can kind of like it can occupy different areas of the park or different parks and very different energy, very different vibe. So I think it's a perfect franchise for theme parks, and they really haven't tapped into it. It's wasted opportunity. It really is.
I do have to mention too, and shout out to our good friend Drew the Disney Dude, because he says this all the time. When people say, well, how come they don't make this right away? How come they don't do this right away? There could be reasons for it. For instance, there was supposed to be an attraction in Adventureland in Magic Kingdom where there's an expansion pad that's behind the Jungle Cruise that would look out to the Polynesian resort hotel. Right. They were supposed to utilize that for a Moana volcano roller coaster when the first movie came out. That was a no-go. Now there's talk that they may do a giant e-ticket attraction, sort of like the boats and the technology used for the Shanghai Pirates and the soon-to-be Avatar at DCA. But you know, if this film becomes $1 billion movie with a character that has already existed in over 20 years, and Lilo and Stitch is more tapped into the Polynesian culture a little more than Moana. Moana is more South Pacific. They could potentially put something in that expansion pad for Lilo and Stitch. Again, if they were to make decisions right away as a knee-jerk reaction, you may miss out on something even more greater.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a great franchise
too, because OG, you mentioned like Chris Sanders, you know, reprising his role as Stitch, and he had a big role in, like, he wasn't just the voice of Stitch, like he was a big component of like that's his baby, like this was his movie, because he also directed it as well, I believe. But when you get a different actor to portray somebody that already brought life into the character, it could be very daunting, you know, and it could be a hit or miss.
Yeah.
And the one that I was very curious about before seeing this trailer was who is going to be Cobra Bubbles, the African American Child Protective Service guy, because he was portrayed by Ving Rhames in the animated film, and I'm thinking, okay, are they bringing him back or whatever? But they ended up getting Courtney B. Vance, and I think honestly, if they couldn't get Ving Rhames, I think that was a great choice on casting. I'm a huge fan of Courtney B. Vance. I loved him in Law and Order: Criminal Intent with Vincent D'Onofrio and Catherine Erb, and also too him being married to the beautiful, talented Angela Bassett. You know, so. I just had to throw that out there too, because I was very surprised.
I didn't know he was married to Angela Bassett. Really?
Yeah, I actually didn't know either until it was around the time she was awarded for the Disney Legends. She became a Disney legend, and they did like an interview, and they had the article up, and it was saying about her husband, Courtney B. Vance, and I thought, oh yeah, I didn't even know they were married, but I was like, yeah, they're married and they have two kids together. So
wow, yeah, this movie is we're definitely going to see this potentially being the movie of the year for Disney.
Yeah.
Even with animated, what other we went over this, and I'm losing my thought right now. What other movies were coming out that were animated this year that was very popular? I know there was at least one.
Zootopia 2.
Wasn't
Yeah,
there one
Zootopia.
more?
Zootopia 2 is coming out at the end of the year.
Elio, right?
Elio is coming out June 13th.
And that's a Pixar release.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I remember we did that episode where we discussed the movies of the year for Disney, and I think Lilo and Stitch, I don't think we talked about enough. I don't think we put it out there where we thought it might have been movie there, just because we didn't know what we were gonna get. But now that we're talking about it, now that the trailers drops, to me that is very promising, and I love the idea of us getting something that is live action, a story that we've seen before that we know we're gonna love, but it being relayed on to live action. So I am very excited for this, for sure.
100%, me too. But I mean, it's one of those IPs that just really translates well into a live action, and some work and some don't. And this one, they just found that magic formula where they got the right people involved with the live action. It's the right IP. Everything just seems to be kind of, coalescing into, and I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes like an ongoing thing. Like we get a sequel and all kinds of stuff. Sonic, when they fixed his look and everything, and it really became a popular franchise. People love those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're on the third one now.
And they're making them quick too. They're coming out quick, these Sonic movies as well.
Yeah, I have to say, literally the first look of Sonic, I hate to say it, but it looked like his mom knew his cousin too well.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But kudos to the filmmakers though. They got the hint, they got the message, and they went back and they changed it. And that was the smart move because it paid off. Now they have a little franchise on their hand,
And let me ask you guys this before we get out of here. Say this movie does $1 billion, this movie does great. What is your guys' move as far as making a sequel to this? Do you make it a animated movie and finally you get us that sequel that people have been waiting for, or do you continue with the live action and ride that wave?
No pun intended. Ride that wave, bro. Ride that wave. No. I would say you continue with the live action thing. I think this works really well in live action. I think if the live action one like hits $1 billion or whatever, I think you keep that momentum going live action. I think that's the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, not saying that 2D animation would be going backwards per se, but I think that everyone would have the same common interest to see it moving forward with today's cast, with the live action, and who's going to be part of this film and watch it, progress. Will they do a sequel? I would say it depends on how well it does. I at the box office and how it's well received towards fans. I don't think there's any shadow of a doubt that, you know, it would get any negative review. Honestly, I'm seeing people on social media that is very surprisingly that they're actually giving it praise.
Yeah, without naming names, there's a lot of like anti-Disney, you know, the anti-Disney circles out there who they're even
You
they're
can
like,
name them. You can name them. You could throw
Yeah.
names in it.
you know, like I don't know,
Ebba.
But yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
That's a
Ebba's
safe
one
one.
of them. Yeah, no, but yeah, there's a lot, and they're out there, and but they've even been coming out saying like, this looks really, really good. So cool, man. You know, it's united the fan base. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And guys, this movie comes out, when is it?
Like Memorial Day, I believe.
Yeah, May 23rd.
May 23rd. Yep.
May 23rd. So right around the corner, guys. But we're gonna wrap it up there, boys. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Guys, make sure you guys hit that like button if you guys like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 600 subs. We're almost there. I believe we're like 10 away or something like that, 20 away. So make sure you guys hit that follow button or that subscribe button. But George, I'll start with you again. If you could remind the people where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55. And I'm currently at 122 subs right now. Let's keep it going. So get off your asses and hit that subscribe button.
You heard him. Go punch your phone when you hit the subscribe button. All right, guys. OG, you can remind the people where they can find you, and I appreciate you again for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely, Tones. I love coming on. I love coming on and talking shop with you, whether it's on your channel, whether it's on my channel. It's always a good time with you, brother. Yeah, you can find me. you can find me on YouTube, Orange Grove 55, talking theme park, studio, all that good stuff. You can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and on X, Orange Grove 55.
Guys, go give them a follow. I am also on that channel all the time, so make sure you guys go show some love to the OG crew. You guys are like brothers to me, so go show some love, right? Guys, you guys can follow me at Tones_TV on TikTok and X. You guys can find me at Bad Thoughts Studio and Bad Thoughts Podcast here on YouTube and Instagram. Make sure you guys go show some love to the podcast, guys. I'm gonna leave everything in the description below. We're doing some cool stuff over there. We're having game nights with the boys. We're talking a bunch of shit about God knows what, but we're having a lot of fun doing it. All right, so go show some love. But I appreciate you guys for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Love y'all.